There are places in the world that hold a stillness, a profound silence that seems to predate human memory. And sometimes, when we venture into these ancient places, we find ourselves tested, not just by the elements, but by something far more intangible. Ilara had always been drawn to the wild, untamed corners of the map. Her latest fascination led her to a remote, peat-rich landscape famed for its shimmering, deceptive bogs. She sought not adventure, but solace, a deeper connection to the earth beneath her feet. One late afternoon, emboldened by the unseasonably mild air and a sky streaked with the promise of sunset, she strayed from the faint, meandering path she'd been following. The ground, soft and spongy under her boots, suddenly gave way. It wasn't a dramatic plummet, not a sudden, terrifying fall into darkness. Instead, it was a slow, insidious surrender. One moment, her foot was on firm earth. The next, she was sinking, slowly, inexorably, into the cold, viscous embrace of the bog. The initial shock was quickly replaced by a desperate, churning fear. The peat, thick and heavy, clung to her limbs, pulling her deeper with every struggle. The chill, initially a mere discomfort, began to seep into her bones, stealing her warmth, then her hope. The beautiful, streaky sky overhead seemed to mock her, its colors fading as the light began to drain from the day. She was alone, utterly and terrifyingly alone, with nothing but the gurgling, sucking sounds of the bog for company. Time stretched and warped, each passing minute an eternity of chilling desperation. Just as the last vestiges of twilight bled into night, a distant, gruff voice cut through the stillness. It was a sound so unexpected, so impossibly hopeful that Ilara almost thought she'd imagined it. Then another voice, closer this time, and the distinct crunch of footsteps on drier ground. A lantern's beam cut through the dimming light, dancing across the surface of the bog, until it settled, finally, on her mud-caked, terrified face. Two figures emerged from the gloom, a burly man with a weathered face and kind eyes, and a younger woman, agile and quick. They were locals, their accents thick, their movements efficient. There was no fuss, no drama, just a quiet, determined effort to free her. They spoke in low, soothing tones, guiding her, encouraging her, as they worked with ropes and branches to slowly, painstakingly pull her from the bog's grip. The relief that flooded through her as she felt solid ground beneath her was so profound, it brought tears to her eyes, mingling with the mud and cold sweat. They led her to a small stone cottage nestled amongst a cluster of ancient trees, its windows glowing with a warm, inviting light. Inside, a fire crackled merrily in a hearth, casting dancing shadows on the walls. The air was thick with the comforting scent of wood smoke and a simmering stew. She was given a rough woolen blanket that, despite its texture, felt like the softest silk against her shivering skin. A basin of warm water and a bar of homemade soap were provided, and she washed away the thickest layers of the bog, though she knew the earthy scent would linger for days. The locals, a family named O'Malley, were remarkably hospitable, asking few questions, offering much comfort. They fed her hot, hearty stew and insisted she rest by the fire. Ilara felt a deep, overwhelming sense of gratitude for their kindness, for their quiet rescue, for simply being there. As the night deepened, her exhaustion finally caught up with her. She was shown to a small, spare room, humble but clean, with a window overlooking a small, dark pond in the garden. Before she finally succumbed to sleep, a curious impulse drew her to the window. The moon, a sliver of silver, had risen, casting a faint glow on the still surface of the pond. She leaned in closer, hoping to catch a glimpse of the stars reflected there, but instead, her own face stared back at her. And that's when it happened. Her reflection, still smudged with faint traces of the bog's darkness, seemed to shift, to ripple, not with the disturbance of the water, but with an internal tremor. Her eyes in the reflection, perhaps a trick of the moonlight, seemed to deepen, to hold an ancient, knowing glint. And then her reflection's lips, her own lips, slowly, deliberately formed words. No sound escaped them, yet the message was undeniably clear, etched into the very core of her being. The reflection whispered, the words forming silently, distinctly. "You brought something back with you." Ilara stumbled back from the window, her heart hammering against her ribs. The words echoed in the silence of the room, not as an auditory sound, but as an undeniable impression, a cold, creeping certainty. She peered back at the pond, but the surface was still, her reflection merely that, a faint, ordinary image staring back. The mud was gone, the ancient glint vanished. Yet the whisper remained, chilling her to the bone. What had she brought back? Was it a physical trace, a speck of the bog's ancient soil embedded deep within her? Or was it something else entirely? A memory, a spirit, a fragment of that primal grasping energy that had tried to claim her? The O'Malleys had pulled her from the bog, but perhaps the bog in its turn had reached out and taken a small invisible piece of her, or perhaps in an exchange had given her something in return. The experience in the bog was harrowing, the rescue miraculous, but the true mystery, the profound and lingering question, began not with her escape, but with that silent, unsettling whisper in her reflection. It was a reminder that some encounters leave more than just muddy boots. They leave an imprint on the soul, a subtle shift in perception, a lingering connection to the wild, mysterious places we dare to tread. And sometimes those connections whisper back to us long after we've returned to the safety of our own worlds. We navigate life, often unaware of the invisible baggage we carry, the subtle influences of the places we've been, the experiences we've lived. Ilara's encounter with the bog and with her own reflection serves as a poignant reminder that the world holds depths we can only glimpse, and that sometimes when we cross thresholds into its ancient heart, we return changed, carrying fragments of its mystery within us. What do you think Ilara brought back from the bog? Have you ever felt a lingering presence or a subtle shift after encountering a truly wild and ancient place? Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing for more tales that explore the hidden whispers of our world.